Hola, mi amigo. See, I can speak other languages. Welcome. And it's good because this is the World Mission Update. Although, I don't know, do you guys do a lot of stuff in countries that speak Spanish?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like where?
Absolutely. Oh, boy, you've got Latin America as a whole, brother. I mean, we've actually just sent some treasures recently down to Guatemala, Honduras, a fair amount, of course, Mexico. And there's a fun little tidbit in Mixe, M-I-X-E. That's a language in Oaxaca, which is one of the most southern states in Mexico. And that is one of the first places that we recorded a language, which is that Mixe language. So
really?
Yeah,
okay.
Fair amount in Oaxaca, Mexico.
So, see, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. It's World Mission, and this is the World Mission Update. My name's Rusty Humphries. That's Greg Kelley, and he is the CEO of World Mission. And, boy, before we get started, would you please hit that subscribe button and let people know by sharing this show about the World Mission Update and what it is that World Mission does around the world. First of all, a big part of the World Mission is the Great Commission, isn't it, Greg?
That's right. Jesus said, Rusty, the end of Matthew, go and make disciples of all nations. And we remind people about all that all nations is not countries, as we know, it's people groups. And so inside of all these countries that we work are the nations or the ethnic groups that need to hear a gospel witness. And just far too many of them are still, they say about a third of the world still, here we are, 2021, still a third of the world remain without access to the gospel. Wow. So that's a big deal. That's where we focus. That's where our networks are at of national leaders. And that's why we do the World Mission Update to let people know what God's doing in these places.
Yeah. And one of the places, by the way, go to worldmission.cc. Would you help out? Worldmission.not.com. It's worldmission.cc. So Myanmar. What was that? That was a country before. They changed the name, right?
It changed. It used to be Burma. And that's most people, the Burmese people group is what the largest people group in the country of Myanmar. But yeah, that's a country that we've done a lot of work in, Rusty. It's such an interesting part of the world, right? I mean, you and I have been into that area. You've got Bangladesh, which is a border majority Muslim country. And then it's bordering Myanmar, which is a majority Buddhist country. And then, of course, that's bordering India, which is the largest Hindu country in the world. So you have all these very interesting religious dynamics going on there and a lot of conflict as a result. Everywhere that I just mentioned, Christianity is just a microcosm of the entire population. So it's a place that needs a lot of work, a lot of effort. Again, that's why we're there, and they have endured some great challenges.
Yeah, what's going on in Myanmar right now? Why do you care about Myanmar, from a news point of view, or what's going on there?
Yeah, there's so many reasons why, Rusty, why it needs to be a priority. One very practical reason, this time of year, we're right now in the middle of the monsoon. So the monsoon, I tell people the monsoon in Southeast Asia is kind of like the Michigan winter. It's not a matter of if it's going to come, it's when it's going to come
and how bad, right?
How bad. You don't know if you're going to get, 12 inches of snow or 50 inches of snow. It's coming. And right now they are just getting pounded with rains that come up from the Bay of Bengal and just soak that whole area. And of course, our hearts are really burdened for the Rohingya people, this unreached people group that has been pushed out of the country of Myanmar. There's still many that still live in Myanmar, but they've been pushed into Bangladesh by the hundreds of thousands. And the situation in Myanmar and also in Bangladesh and that corridor is dire because of the flooding that's going on right now.
And we went very close to the border. We went and saw the Rohingya people when we were in Bangladesh about a year and a half ago now. And it was, we got close to the border, but they wouldn't let us in, correct? I mean, it's pretty tight. You can't just walk across the border like going to Canada.
Right, exactly. You see Myanmar right there across the river, and they're very guarded of that area. So there's a high security. So we saw the camps, but we couldn't actually get into Myanmar. But it's a good example of our cross-country kind of strategy in some of these places. It's very difficult to set up shop in one country when dynamics are going on. We've spoken recently about Afghanistan, and we use Pakistan as an example. If you have your base, your stability of ministry headquarters, if you will, just across the border, sometimes that's a very effective strategy. And when you're talking about Myanmar with the coup that's happened just in February, on February 1st, there's a military takeover of this democratically elected president, leader of the country. The military essentially kicks this gal out and now has been running with an incredible authoritarian regime, shooting people, kidnapping people.
Well, wait a second. I mean, it wasn't great a year ago. So is it just really, really bad now?
Well, with the military coup, any voice of dissent speaking against this military regime is just, they attack them, they kidnap them. We've heard horrific stories of people who really believe in democracy and have been exposed to it enough where that's what they want. And the military regime is just incredibly restrictive of any voice that would say align itself with a Western mindset of freedom, democracy, freedom of press, things like that. So it's been horrific, Rusty, what we're hearing, so much so that it's difficult for workers to be embedded inside of Myanmar. So a lot of our work is happening right across the border in Thailand, where interestingly, many Burmese by the tens of thousands have fled over the years, and especially, locally, because of the coup, there's been an uptick of that. So a lot of ministry. We've got some photos. There's a picture of one gal who just because she's Burmese and she's in Thailand, very difficult for her to get any kind of help, any health assistance, pregnant, just really, concerned about obviously her child, had never heard the gospel, Rusty. And so our partners are on the ground. Not only are they able to minister to her from a physical standpoint, but they're able to share the gospel with her. And that's the piece of it that really is kind of missing in all of this, is that with a focus, when you hear about these humanitarian crises, all of our eyes are set. And it's our heart of compassion that wants to do that. We want to help these people. We want to ease their suffering, and that's all noble and wonderful. But the eyes that we're looking into that we want to help have never heard of Jesus. And that goes back to the Great Commission, making disciples. So this precious woman became a follower of Jesus. This burden that she felt, right, is lifted. Now they're taking care of her from a physical standpoint. And that's what the gospel looks like. That's why it's such a beautiful thing to be a part of.
Wow, you've got a few more pictures here. Why don't you run through them a little bit and let us know, show us what you have. Yeah,
so we've got a picture there of the flooding, and, it just goes to show you might have a river that just is swelled. So and people are drawn to the water, right? I mean, that's where the fishing is at. That's a means of transportation. So you see lots of people congregating along these banks. Well, when the monsoon comes, and they know it's coming. That's the thing. But it's so many times without warning, because they just don't have any infrastructure. These rivers just blow up because a lot of times it's coming out of I know you guys see flash floods and you're part of the country
in Arizona. Yes. We've had a past few days. Yes.
So, right, it'll go from basically a trickle to several feet and just a huge current, and they become incredibly dangerous. And so that's no different than in these areas. So you have a lot of flooding and destroys people's. I mean, these are huts. These are made out of mud and sticks and bamboo, and so they're able to just destroy what makeshift housing these people have. And then you see a picture of some food relief that's going on. Now, there's a number of reasons why this is happening. Yes, the monsoon is devastating. The flooding is destroying people's entire anything they possess, right? It's destroyed. But COVID continues to be very devastating as these lockdowns are continuing on in these areas of the world, Bangladesh and Myanmar in particular. People are suffering, Rusty. They are suffering. They already lived hand to mouth.
Right.
So what it means is that every day they are working in the morning for their dinner at night. Well, when you lock them down and force them to stay in their homes, it takes away all their opportunities. And so the people are far more concerned about eating and they're suffering. So there's food distribution opportunities that are going on.
When I was looking at this bag, the first thing I thought, the thing on the top were like flip flops or something, and then I took a closer look. No, it's not a flip flops. That's the treasure.
Yeah, exactly. There's every time in our strategy of doing ministry, when these opportunities present themselves to just come alongside people that are suffering, that are hurting, and in ways that you and I, Rusty, will never experience in our life. You're talking about, here is a bag of rice for today.
Yeah.
In those moments, we're always sharing the good news. And so the treasure, the solar powered audio Bible, the messenger, our partnership with In Touch, it's in their language. And so they get the word of God, they go home, they turn it on, they start listening to it. Rusty, there is nothing more precious and valuable that we could give someone than the word of God. That changes their destiny. It gives them hope and courage while they're in this difficult life. And what we find is so many times these people who come to the knowledge of Jesus, they become the best evangelists. They're transformed. And in so many instances, they're hearing the gospel for the first time in their life. I mean, how just crazy is that for you or I to process? I mean, within where you're at, where I'm at, there's, probably 5 churches within walking distance of where I'm right now. I have 4 Christian radio stations in Grand Rapids, Michigan I can choose from. Access to the gospel is not a problem for you or I, but for some of these places, they're hearing about Christ for the first time. So it's such a privilege to come alongside and just love them and do the right thing, right? I mean, whether you're a Christian or not, who is going to argue with, hey, these people are suffering, they don't have anything, let's help them? I mean, it's just the spirit that we all have to be do the good deed, right? And help them with, and quite honestly, Rusty, it's without condition. This is not a bait and switch thing where we're like, hey, have this bag of food, and then if you get it, then you have to hear us preach at you. That's not.
You better know John 3:16. Yeah, that's not what they're doing. Now, I know that we had been there, and the Rohingya people are very close to your heart, and I know you've wanted to go there with all the things going on right now to help out, but it seems like that's not happening. Is there something going on in Bangladesh and Myanmar right now that prevents you from going there?
Well, with the COVID outbreak that continues and these different waves that are going on, they're sort of, they're having lockdowns that last for 2 weeks, and then they evaluate it, and then they have another one. We've been hearing more and frequently of people traveling internationally that are getting, mandatory quarantines for 14 days in places, and it just becomes incredibly disruptive. So you're trying to go somewhere, you've got maybe a 11, 12-day itinerary, and lo and behold, you get stuck in a room for 14 days. I mean, it's very disruptive. And our model, as you know, it's just not necessary. Ministry goes on whether I'm there or not. I need to go, and you go with me. So we document and we capture the realities on the ground. That's why we will travel, but we have to be very wise and conscientious of the locations that we're picking. And Bangladesh is just a place that both the CDC and the State Department right now, it's flashing red lights. Don't go there.
Okay. Now that's where we were when it first broke out.
That's right.
And then a year ago this week, I remember because it was my birthday, August 29th, we were in Africa. And when we were in Africa and we were in Kenya, you had to wear your mask in your car, whether you were in it with people or by yourself. And they had police guys looking in windows, making sure you had your mask on. I know this isn't the same part of the world, but what's going on in Kenya right now? How things going in Africa? Is it the same kind of thing? Are they really very concerned about the COVID thing, or is it lightening up there?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a mixed bag. We were supposed to do a trip to Egypt earlier this year, and we canceled that lo and behold, we had some other friends of ours that were in there with a group, same exact time that we would have been there. And 2 of the people were mandatory quarantine for 14 days. So they do these random tests. You don't know the legitimacy or the quality of the test you're getting. And indiscriminately, depending, it's like the rules are different depending on what sort of authority figure you're face to face with.
Yeah, I know.
They make their decisions, like, and you are at their utter mercy. And so,
in case you didn't hear can I tell my Kenya story?
Absolutely.
I get to the airport. Now, by the way, Greg can't get to the airport. Greg's like, I can't get a test, and you had to wait in Chicago for an extra couple of days, right? So, Rusty, you just go on to Africa by yourself.
Have fun. Do some touring.
Yeah. Okay. So I get there, and I got my test in my hand, and I'm one of the first guys off the plane. And the woman in charge says, let me see your papers. Oh, this test isn't good enough. What do you mean test isn't good enough? Come to my office. I go to her office. Yes, the test isn't good enough. So the COVID test from Phoenix, Arizona, is not as good as the COVID test in Nairobi, Kenya. No, it is not good enough. However, the Lord is telling me that if you help my family, I should let you in. Well, the Lord's telling me about $20. Oh, yep. No, I could never. No, that's dangerous. Okay, I think I'm hearing a message. I think the Lord's telling me 40. Oh, no, I've got family. Oh, I could lose my job. What? Oh, he said 60. Yes, of course. And then they let me in.
Okay, there you go.
I mean,
yeah. Africa is a special place, Mike. Special place. That's good.
So now we had a little bit of issues in Bangladesh too, where they wouldn't let you go where you wanted to go. The government got in the way. They kind of were arrogant about it. That happens all over the world for you, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. So you have to be really sort of wise, prudent where you're picking. I mean, where we work, Rusty, just by definition, unreached areas where no one's gone before, they're difficult, and there's reasons behind that. So, I mean, I can't remember the last time I traveled to a country, quite honestly, there wasn't some degree of travel advisory. There's the red light flashing 4-star that say do not go, and you have to really, unless you got a great reason, just reconsider some of those. But most of them are in the 2 and 3-star, and so you go to these places because that the places where the gospel's never been, there's going to be barriers, there's going to be hindrances, there's going to be challenges, there's going to be adversity, and the church needs to have the courage to lean into that and say, hey, if the gospel says go make disciples of all nations, I can't just sort of pick and choose the ones that, have the nice beach or where they love Americans or, where
have nicer hotels. Are you sure we can't do it that way? I say we pick them based on the quality of the food and hotels. But that's me. That's probably why I'm not the CEO of World Mission.
I'm proud of you for being willing to travel with me, Rusty. You just kind of go along. I tell you the place and you're like, okay, that sounds good.
I did lose it once, though. Once.
That's pretty good, though. And all the days that we've traveled together, it was just one time, one moment for you. And
I have that line now. I know I cannot cross. There's this one line, and that's it. All right. Well, hey, listen, there's a lot going on around the world, and Greg Kelley and his team at World Mission cannot do it alone. And that's where they need your help. If you would please go to worldmission.cc. It's worldmission.cc, and do what you can to help where you can. Greg?
Well, you see these pictures. I mean, Rusty, what a privilege again. You and I are sharing these stories. You got flooding, you got emergency relief. You got you got a pregnant lady. I mean, today we talked about kind of a little mishmash of everything that's going on in one location in the world. And the beauty of the World Mission Update, Rusty, is that we get to talk to our friends and partners and say, would you pray with us? Would you possibly consider supporting World Mission? And the beauty of that is it puts you in that picture. And so Rusty and I, we're going to travel. We're going to go somewhere. We're going to bring you live content, just like we did in Bangladesh and Kenya and some other places. But the reality is that as the two of us go, you can be there with us. So share the podcast with your friends and family. Encourage them to learn about what the realities in these places. And, if the Lord puts it on your heart to help us, that would be just massively important right now.
More important than you could ever imagine. So please go to worldmission.cc, not .com, .cc, and help where you can. Also, you can help for nothing by just hitting the subscribe button and sharing this with your friends and family and loved ones, church brothers and sisters, whatever you can think of, so they can see what's going on around the world and what World Mission is doing to help out and where you can help out as well. Again, worldmission.cc. Until next time, I'm Rusty Humphreys. That is Greg Kelley, the CEO of World Mission, and this is the World Mission Update.